It is time for your financial literacy program. It's time for Everyday Money Matters. And of course, my name is Sadiq. We have our money team in the building, but I have to share this with you. Remember, EMM is a financial literacy program, and as such, answers to questions should not be considered as financial advice, but merely the opinions of our guests. Kindly consult your financial advisor for your personal, business, financial related issues. Now that we have that out of the way, if you're thinking about growing money, making money, keeping money, then this is the show to listen to. It's Everyday Money Matters. And to be a part of this broadcast, this conversation, you can get in with us 0809 191 3913 and 0809 222 0913. Also 0809 234 5913. And we are also online live. I can see Ugodre, I can see Loretta, I can see the money team. Good morning, people.
Hey, my brother, morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Wonderful, doing great, happy. And you?
I'm good.
Yes,
All
as
right.
usual. I see. You look like you just received a lot. A big one.
Oh, can you imagine? You know, it's people like you that Trump is not happy with because you're always wearing a mask.
Oh, that's true. Oh, what, do you want me to take it off?
No, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, I don't know. Are you alone in the studio? Or,
actually, yes, I am. So I really don't, because I actually just had to step out briefly. So yeah, that's why.
But you're a germaphobe. You're a germaphobe. So I mean.
Yeah, don't tell everyone. They don't know.
They don't know yet.
We're trying to hide. It's not
They'll
our
find
fault.
out.
Right. Anything in particular we need to know about in the world of business? I mean, we had figures recently, the 6%
Yes.
contraction.
So GDP numbers were out 2 days ago. Contraction minus 6.1%. So we are 1 quarter away from a recession, and if we experience another negative GDP growth rate this quarter, which ends in September, then we will be in a recession by the end of the year. So it's looking dicey, but the numbers came in better than expected. Some of us expected minus 8%, but minus 6.1%.
Thing minus 10, minus 20.
No. We were expecting minus 8% because the entire country wasn't shut down. So it was Lagos, Abuja that was basically affected.
And agriculture was still going on at the time. Everything shut down completely. So that was our advantage over other parts of the world, because I was seeing figures like Singapore in the 20s, 24. You know, I'm like, how is it possible that we were only, it's minus 6? Does this show how disconnected we are from the global market or not?
No, I think it's just basically the way our economy is kind of set up. So our economy is set up for in different ways. You know, when people say we are not diversified, the Nigerian economy is diversified. It's the government's revenue that is not diversified. So so we've got a diversified economy, and even though you were experiencing this lockdown, a lot of sectors were still, kind of booming. Agri sector was booming. Telecom sector was booming. Even the financial services sector experienced incredible growth. It was surprising. This period. So there were some businesses that continued, despite the challenges. So if it wasn't for the oil price crash, maybe we probably wouldn't even have experienced this much contraction.
With what's happening around the world, we wouldn't have experienced this kind of contraction.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been this bad. But so now that oil prices are creeping back up, businesses are gradually reopening.
We're opening our aviation industry as well.
So that counts as well. So you would see some uptick, but it might not just be enough to nudge us into some kind of growth. So I want to think that we would continue. We would get into a recession.
But it'll be a smaller contraction this time.
And I think we'll exit it pretty quickly. Maybe by the end of the year, we should be able to exit it. But we would likely continue with very tepid growth growth rates, 1-2% and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and then the government still really needs to do a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Sadiq, yeah, because from what I gather, a lot of states are in dire straits. They don't have money. The economy is in a really, really tight spot. Businesses are really going through a lot of challenges and trying to pick up. Even the ordinary Nigerians are struggling. So it's really tough out there, man. Really, really tough out there. So something has got to give, you know what I mean? So, and that thing that's got to give is that World Bank loan. So we need to get that World Bank loan in the bag. Yeah, we've got to bag that loan maybe in September or October, but that money has got to come in. It's very, very important that we get that money in.
So are we trying to get that money? Because usually when there's a recession, what normally happens is that people are giving more opportunities to spend in order to, push the economy. So is that what we should be trying to do with that loan? Get the money in as many hands of Nigerians as possible just to push the market forward? Or how exactly is that going to help us?
Yeah, so the loan is important for a number of reasons. One, it's the most important one is exchange rate stability, right? So that loan comes in and the CBN can convert it to naira and then use the dollars to fund exchange rate transactions. There's a lot of demand out there for exchange rate, and then you now need to get share some of that money to states. So state governments can fund projects, state government can pay salaries, state government can fund the expenditure. So these are all ways of stimulating the economy, you know what I mean? So and then the federal government as well needs a bit of that money as well to spend. So that kind of infusion of cash into the economy is very important and would help stimulate economic growth. So that's why it's important, Sadiq, rather. That's why it's very, very important for us, right? So I don't know how I don't know how far that will go. Some have mooted. Maybe we need to also raise a bond, like a euro bond. But the government has said no. They're not going. They don't want to do that at all. They don't want to go into the debt market. It's a foreign debt market at the moment, but they will stick, to the World Bank loan. Remember, we got IMF a few months ago, so they want to try and get this World Bank loan. If you get the World Bank loan, then maybe that's going to help, the economy sort of stabilize, pending when things start to get back into normalcy. Oil prices are creeping up, looking good in that area. Rig count in the US is picking up as well. So a lot of oil production has started in the US. So we maybe suggest that things are getting back to a semblance of normalcy. But the problem, Sadiq, is when you start to get to $50, range, and then the US starts to pump oil all over again, then we might just find ourselves in that very competitive mode again, and then they start to hoard oil and things like that. So yeah, but there's got to be that. We like oil to be around that $50 and above range. It favors Nigeria a lot. So that's where we are.
All right, let's go straight into the questions for today, and there are loads. Let's start with this one, and I'm sure you'd like this one, Ugodre. It's more up your alley. It says, good day, I have 4 million naira. What bank should I make a fixed deposit that will give me great return on investments? So yes, he has 4 million. That is not just
my man.
I know, of course. I know.
My man.
You don't care about the little people. You don't care about me.
Of course I do care about you.
Right. So what does our man do with his 4 million naira?
There are a lot of banks. I mean, we're not going to name banks on the show, so I don't think they paid us to name them. But there are some banks you can go to with that kind of money. But you'll be lucky if you get 10%. You'll be lucky if you get 10%, and that's 400,000 per annum. You'll be lucky if you get that. Yeah, because I know that for fixed deposits, some would give you 8%, 9, mostly 8%. But for microfinance banks, you could get something in a double digit. Yeah, in a double digit. But you got to keep that money with them for a pretty long time. Yeah, maybe like a year.
Oh, okay.
yeah, with them. Yeah, and then they can give you that kind of money because that's enough time for them to try to turn it over.
Ah,
Yeah, so if you get them, they're fine.
okay.
But without that, yeah, you might struggle to get to get anything
So,
close
so
to
should he,
10%.
I mean, with that bulk sum of money, should he actually be looking at fixed deposits, or is there any other, similar type of investment that can be made?
Well, the thing, Sadiq, is there's really not much for, because let's stick to fixed income investment. That's what he's looking for. So
Okay.
does he want to do treasury bills? Does he want to do bonds?
Mm,
You can do bonds. You might get a little bit more with bonds. But
yeah.
the downside risk is when you want to convert your money back, when you want to,
Mm,
liquidate your money.
yeah.
You might liquidate a little higher or you might liquidate a little lower.
Yeah.
Um, then there's also that exchange rate risk as well. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So that 4 million, by the time if you put it in a fixed deposit, and by the time the money is coming out, what if they
Mm-hmm.
devalue again? They devalue again, and that money is just lost a bit more
It's,
value,
yeah, God.
for you. But the thing is, to be honest, in terms of exchange rate, I'm in the class of people who don't believe that the official rate will devalue
Mm,
further to where you have the parallel market rate. I think that it might devalue, but it won't be that bad.
won't be
So
that bad.
rather, the parallel market rate will move up. That's what I think. So in terms of alternatives, like I said, there are government bonds that you can go into.
Okay.
You can invest in, but I think for the kind of flexibility he might want, you want to just stick to banks because with banks
Hey,
you can liquidate at any time, get
yeah.
your money back, and then put it into something else.
Yep, like rentable. Right. So moving on to the next question. And this says, good morning, Nairametrics. My dad bought shares a long time ago, of which dividends was sent about 3 times. After that, it stopped coming forth. Now, these shares were purchased from Sterling Bank under the company Jalpol Oil and Maritime Services. I don't know what to do to secure it back. What can I do? So he's trying to secure some shares. What's he gonna do?
So no, I'm not sure how Japol and
Yeah,
Sterling
yeah.
merged because I probably was not born when that transaction was being made. But
Okay.
the usual way is to contact your broker and reach out to the registrar of the company that you bought it from. Yeah, so
Okay.
you have to find out who the registrar of that company is and contact them. I
Okay.
think it's pretty straightforward. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's it really. If you Japol is an oil, supposed to be an oil
Yeah.
marine company or
Okay.
something. Yeah. So if it's their shares, yeah, like Loretta just described, you gotta just look for who the registrar is. It's very easy. Just go online and type Japol registrars. You might find it in
Ah,
Nairametrics as well. Yeah.
okay.
And once you get their registrars, contact them. Get your dad's information, and then well, you have to prove that you're next of kin,
In
for them to maybe even give you that information. Another easy way is you can go to sec.gov.ng, that's SEC website.
yeah.
They have this portal where you can type in the name of your name.
Mhm.
Let's say I don't know if it's your dad's name that he used or whether it's a company
Probably.
name. If
Oh,
it's
okay.
just if you're sure of the name, type it into that search portal,
And you can
and then
check.
click on search, and then you will see all the shares that your dad owns.
Um,
Not even just Japol, any other shares that
any other
he may
thing.
own
Hmm.
that he hasn't been paid dividend, and then you see it there.
Nice.
And then you can also now from there start to trace the registrar and
Hmm.
then go get your money just the way
Yeah.
Loretta
So
has described it. Yeah. So,
I'll learn.
but you got to be next of kin. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Right, another question here says, hi, Money Team. Hi, Ugodre. How can I identify a Ponzi scheme from a legit investment opportunity? Yeah,
Very, very
I think,
interesting.
yeah, because on the one hand, I think it's pretty straightforward, but yeah, I don't know.
Very interesting. Well, you see, Ponzi schemes are pretty much easy to identify because
Okay.
most times they don't have any underlying assets. right? So when you ask them, what do you guys? But the thing is that initially they tell you to do something. They tell you to do, maybe we're into oil or one kind. They give you those very esoteric things that they do. But in reality, that's not really what it is. How you smell a Ponzi is the kind of return they give you.
Yeah.
So they typically will promise you amazing returns. They can give you returns of maybe they say bring 100,000, we pay you 30,000 in 3 months. In 3 months, and then 20,000 every other month after. Something like that. Yeah.
Really?
And that kind of sounds like a Ponzi scheme, because conventional wisdom would suggest that you can just go to the bank and get a loan. Why do you have to use my money?
Exactly.
And Ponzi schemes always require a lot. They require crowdsourcing a lot. So it's not just your money. They require a lot of people's money, and then they oftentimes tell you to try and bring other people in. You understand? Yeah. So because when you bring other people in, then it keeps the cycle going. And then they give you sweetener. They even give you sweetener self. Like if you bring them in, they give you extra on it. Yeah, because that's what keeps the Ponzi going. And then at some point, it's no longer about the business that they do. It's about the number of people you bring on board and how you can quickly convert them into money. And then a lot more sophisticated Ponzi schemes. To be honest, Ponzi schemes basically I was talking to a friend yesterday, ironically, and we're talking about the global economy and how an aspect of the global economy can even just be a Ponzi scheme sometimes, right? It's a little bit complicated. I don't want to go in there, but you see, the thing with Ponzi schemes is that there's always something backstopping. Like there's something that is keeping it going, and that thing for the classic Ponzi scheme is people who are always bringing in that money. So the more people you bring in, the cycle continues. But once that floor is taken off, right, it just collapses, and then everybody loses money because it's not an investment that is built on anything solid. So it's not like you have a company that you're putting our money into that is generating revenues that you're sharing. It's just that everybody is just bringing money. So hallmark of Ponzi schemes, the interest rates are the returns are pretty high, very very high, higher than what you expect, and then it requires that you have a lot of people invest in it, which means it's mostly crowdsourced. So you see a lot of crowdsourced funding, a lot of people contributing money, and when you see people like Sadiq ask you things like, you don't do this business, you don't do this SDQ. It's SDQ, did they pay you? You start to suspect. And then you see your malam, or you see your washerman, or you see your pastor, or you see your secretary, or anybody, and everybody is just
talking about
you don't hear of SDQ, then you know that, oh, wait a minute, there's something wrong here.
Going on.
Can I add?
Yeah, go on, man.
There's this old Hollywood story of the Billionaire Boys Club. I don't know if you heard about it. So these guys they claimed they were investing in commodities, and so they got funds from various investors. But what they were actually doing was a Ponzi scheme. So they would just move the money around and send it back to you. And those ones are pretty hard to spot, because in your mind, these guys are just bad guys investing in commodities and people live they want. So I think that part, for that, it boils down to understanding how whatever you invest in actually works. So and say, okay, I gave this guy 100K, he gave me 200K, and like, yeah, the guy is just a good guy. Trying to understand how your money is invested, especially if you have a fund manager or somebody is something for you, otherwise it would blow up in your face.
And Loretta is right, because they could have some very sophisticated Ponzi schemes, very very sophisticated ones. You might not even know.
Yeah, with proper people in front, and especially if they lie to you that they're actually investing in commodities, then it's difficult to see. But at least one major pointer is the fact that they're asking you to bring others, and also the return that they're giving is usually unbelievable. We're talking upwards of 40, 50% and more. Then okay, something's going on here. Right, we're running out of time really, really quick. Let me ask one question before we go on this break. Says, what ways can I attract venture capitalist funding to my media consultancy business? Now, this I want to hear.
Well, media consultants, I don't think it matters what the business is, pretty much. It's
Okay.
about how you present the business to an investor, to the venture capital. So, are your books in order? What is your idea? What makes you separate? What makes you different from another media business? Why should they invest in you, pretty much? And as venture capitalists, it goes, you need these tips even when you are pitching to anybody. So even if it's a private equity, even if it is, your friend, if it's an angel investor, as long as you have what it is the investor is looking for, which is pretty much a proof that you can get them their money back and your business is scalable, then you'll be fine. So big idea, I know how to present it.
Nice. There's one here in our Zoom platform. It says, it's forex trading highly lucrative, and can you get returns of up to 60%? I smell.
Oh wow.
I smell.
Well, I think you can get up. You can get up to that with forex trading.
60%.
Yeah, you can also lose 100%.
Well,
or 90%. Yeah. So yeah, you can.
I think it also depends on the money you have in it, because you have to be liquid to manage forex properly. Otherwise, you just lose your money in tiny bits.
Yeah, because things happen every hour or overnight. Everything can change. Markets, news. So you have to be on it and know what you're doing.
Pretty much.
Right, we have to go on a very short break. We'll be right back. We'll continue to take your questions. Everyday Money Matters. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Everyday Money Matters, your financial literacy program. We have the money team in the building, Ugodre and Loretta. Welcome back. Right, we've kind of actually run out of time. Sadly, I have to say so. Any final message or tips you want to give the wonderful people of Lagos?
Yeah, Lagos. Watch out for economic summit. It's gonna happen September 5th, I think. You heard it here first. So we have amazing guest speakers on that event next week. We're not gonna let that out of the bag yet, but do not miss that show, because we will be taking a view of the economy. We're gonna be looking at the economy. We're gonna be asking them questions. What kind of recovery are we going to get? Is it going to be a V-shaped recovery? Is it going to be a U-shaped recovery? Is it going to be a W-shaped recovery? Right? Yeah. So there are different kind of recoveries that you can get, and depending on the chart. So that's what we're going to look at next week, and we're going to look at which economies or which businesses are going to return back to growth, so that you can start to position yourself pretty well. Aside that, if you've got questions, always send it to us. We'll take it up on the show. Remember, tell your friends you can be part of this show by just logging onto our Zoom link, and then you can see us live on this show. And by the way, for those who are in, we want to say shout out to Akintobi Lukman, Baba Emmanuel, Daniel Iyo, Daniel Tedrosho, Hassan Balogun. My man, Onome is logged in, always logged in, my man. Well done. Tuburu Igudaro as well. So all the guys that are in here, thank you so much. If you got, remember, you can always be part of the show, and then you can see what is happening live in the studio. So Loretta and from my humble self, Mr. Ugodre, and the rest of the Nairametric team who put this together, we are signing out, Sadiq. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant as usual. Cheers.